to say, but it was nice to see it coming from a developmental perspective as well. So these are the things they talk about doing for vocalizations. How many people have kids that are nonverbal or pretty nonverbal? Okay. So the first one is called sensory social activities. And all this really is doing fun things with the child to see if you can elicit a vocal response. So playing like the itsy bitsy spider and then the spider attacks the child. Or pushing the car real fast and saying zoom. Or throwing the child up in the air and saying wee. Or throwing the child on the couch and saying whoosh. You just do something fun and you pair it with some suspense and excitement. After you've done that a few times, you do it and then you kind of stop and wait and see if the child vocalizes. And then if they vocalize, you finish the fun activity, and if they don't vocalize, then you just kind of set them down. So that's teaching them, like, chances are if they're really excited about it, they're probably going to let something out. It might be a screech, it might be a laugh, but some sort of sound gets them realizing that that is something they can do with their mouth and helps start to build up that relationship for them. The other thing that they recommend doing is to imitate actions and vocalizations. So when a child is making their own noises, like E or ah, when they do that, you imitate it. So that they hear you saying it and they realize that other people are saying the same things that they're saying. One of the things they don't talk about in the book, but that we've had a lot of good progress with in the field, is not only do you do that, but when the child repeats after you, you provide extra reinforcement for that so you can pair up that connection for them. So if the child says E and you say E and the child says E again, you can say nice talking and give them some tickles or really acknowledge for them that they've imitated you. And that's how we can start to build up their ability to imitate what we're saying. The next thing is to develop vocal rounds, which is basically what I just said, where you wait and you look at what the child's doing first. If the child says E, you say E, and then if the child says E, and you just kind of go back and forth with the same sound. But always doing it based off of what the child's initiating first, because that's what they're interested in, that's what they're motivated by. And even if it's a really weird sound, like one of my kids really likes to do like the, that kind of thing, imitate that too. That's motor imitation and vocal imitation. Imitate well-established vocalizations refers to, again, it's like the regular imitation. You're going to initiate the sounds now, but not random sounds, just the sounds that the child already makes. So if they make an E sound while the child's sitting quietly, you would come up to them and go E and see if they say it back to you. Then the last part of that is to increase differentiated sounds. So you might be doing the E and now you start like an ah sound and see if they'll imitate that. It's a sound they've never made before, but you're going to throw it in there. So you might be doing a vocal round E, 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 and then you do an ah. And you see if they might accidentally say it too because they're used to imitating you. One of the things that's not on here is also to pair the vocalizations with activities. So if your child makes an E sound as you're eating, say E, E, E. If they make a ba sound as you're blowing bubbles, ba, 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 so that you're pairing the sounds they already make with activities they like to do, and then that helps build up that relationship for them that these sounds go with this activity, and it's possible that if you go to blow the bubbles and they're used to hearing that ba sound and you don't make it, that they'll make it for you. Does your child make any sounds? Anybody that's not nonverbal children, do they at least make sounds? Yes? Okay. Okay, some other tips for this: use meaningful context and sound. So that's kind of what I just talked about. You don't want to just pick out random sounds and try to get your kid to say them, which again is something we used to do. We used to sit a kid down at the table and just go, ba, and see if they would imitate us, and most of the time they did not. Don't emphasize articulation. If the child's just learning how to talk, just give it to them. They're trying, let them have it. But you can't stop there. Once they've shown that they can do it, then you would want to move past that. Don't emphasize multi-word utterances. So if your child only has a few words in their vocabulary, don't start making them put together like 3 or 4 words at a time. And repeat, but don't drill. So if you're trying to get your child to say eat, and you've done it a couple times, stop there. If you do it 20 times, they're not going to be very motivated to keep saying eat because it's going to be really annoying. Okay, the last one is pivotal response treatment. This one, I apologize, but the picture's covering up some of the words for you guys. I didn't realize it until afterwards. So this book is really cool because it's a behavior analyst. Well, she's not board certified, but she's a behavior analyst. And then it's a mom. So like the behavior analyst does a chapter, and then the mom gives her input on that same concept from a parent's perspective. It's a great resource for ideas because they have a lot of like, this is what you can do for this, and this is what you can do for that. And there's a section in each chapter of like commonly asked questions. So like parents must have sent in questions, and then Dr. Koegel answers the questions. And it pinpoints, it covers what to do all the way from when your child is first diagnosed to high school, which not a lot of books do that. And it's only like this big. So it's not, a lot of the books that cover a lot of information are like textbooks. And this one's a really quick, easy read. It also pinpoints specific pivotal behaviors. These are behaviors that if your child can't do this, it's highly likely other skills will not be acquired as quickly. I'll get into that in a little bit. Social skills and techniques and inclusion. It covers all of these ideas, which I constantly have parents asking me, like, how do we work on this? How do we work on that? And it has all of those in their book.
Potty training.
Potty training should be in there, I think, but I can give you a book for potty training if you need one. So this was the quote from the book, and this is actually from the introduction of the book. It says, "This is a book about hope. We're optimistic, but not irrationally so. We'd like for you to see for yourself how much children with autism can and do improve when a well-thought-out intervention plan is formulated and consistently followed. We hope these stories will inspire you. In virtually every one, the child had behaviors, delays that were so overwhelmingly disruptive the family could hardly cope. And yet, with the right help and intervention, these children have all become grown into happy, contributing teenagers and adults." So this just kind of like tells you what the book's about. This is the introduction from the parent. I didn't quote it because it was long, I just kind of pinpointed it. But one of the things that she wanted everybody to know is there are no miracle cures. You're not going to get a magic pill that's just going to make everything go away. Stick to the interventions that work. You're going to be throwing out a lot of different things. A lot of people are going to tell you have to try this, this, and this. But stick to the ones that you can see working. Don't let people play off your fears. She gives an example of a guy who said, "You have to have my services. If you don't have my services, your child will be institutionalized, and I'm the only one that can do this, and I'm not going to collaborate. I'm the only one who can save your child." So those types of people, stay away from them. Trust yourself. You know your child best. Do what you think is best for your child, and you don't have to be extraordinary. And what she's talking about here is like some of the parents you'll see that write books and have like done all these like wonderful, amazing things, and some parents read those books and go, okay, well she was able to do it, but my goodness, look at this lady, she's amazing. But she's saying, you don't have to be an extraordinary person to help your child make gains. You can just learn from these people, and you can do it yourself, even if you're just an ordinary parent. So one of the things that they suggest for social skills is to follow these 4 steps. Now, I'm not going to obviously be able to teach you all about social skills tonight, but these things are important for understanding social skills. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make when trying to teach social skills is they just come up with random stuff to teach kids, and they don't actually look at what the other kids are doing in the child's environment. So, and especially for boys, because most of the people are boys, and most of the people working with the boys are women, and we don't think like boys. So we have to think a little bit differently. So the first thing is to look at what the other kids are doing and what they're talking about. Like at one school the big topic might be Pokemon, and at another school it might be football, and at another school it might be American Idol. So you have to really look at what they're doing. Determine why your child is not doing the same thing. What skills does your child lack? Is he not interested in those things? Does he not know about those things? Does he not know how to talk about those things? And then come up with some reasonable expectations. If you have a child that doesn't talk, it's probably not going to be reasonable that you want them to go have a conversation with somebody. But you could teach them how to use like pictures, and when asked like, well, what's your favorite show? He could show a picture of what he likes to watch. If you, again, with reasonable expectations, if you have a child who has a hard time engaging in conversation, they're probably not going to make eye contact at first. Don't force it. Let them do it naturally and reward them for doing it on their own. Don't constantly be reminding them that they have to look at you.